languages because you'll normally run these on compromised hosts. So if you're already starting to build up a botnet, you have command line access to a number of victim machines, you'll be running these in the background to compromise multiple sites. Now, some of them have a nice GUI. So here's one of the more popular ones, Aleph Intruder. We see here, the target URL. We've also then in the next line specify where my list of Google dockable content is. And then we start seeing the content actually running through on the third line. And then the bottom two panels here show the links that actually worked. Okay, and here we see that 3 of these paths actually worked through the scanner, and on the right-hand side here is the content that came back from that vulnerable site. So here we see it was successful in navigating to the password file, and here's the password file pulled back. Okay. Access to this tool is yours for the low price of $0.00. Now, once you get access to one of these particular sites for whatever reason, being able to get root on the box and being able to do everything on it is obviously dependent on the type of operating system in the kernel. Now, that can be troublesome. So here we have a site that specializes in, you type in the operating system, it gives you a list of all the different kernel versions, and it has specialized scripts that are designed to automatically give you root on that box. Okay, and it's all been optimized for those particular kernel versions. What do these things look like? So here is one script, auto root, and you basically drop this onto the server, and as long as you have some level of permission, and then you just click run, start run, and it will cycle through and it will just try all the different vulnerabilities on the local host to get you privilege escalation and install whatever agents you actually want on that host. There are hundreds of these scripts floating around, and they are quite well maintained. So any new vulnerabilities that get disclosed, they'll get dropped into these scripts. So there's entire forums designed to discuss which scripts are best and to make sure that you get the latest vulnerabilities and exploits included in them. So moving on to exploitation. Now, there was an interesting one last week I was really looking at. So there were some vulnerabilities early this year in phpMyAdmin. Okay, and there was a Debian disclosure, and there's 3 core vulnerabilities. So effectively the ability to create temporary directories, and the ability to put things in your temporary directories, and then the ability to call the things that you put in the temporary directories. Doesn't take a genius to work out how that can be abused. So this particular botnet operator developed and used the scripts, targeted and compromised about 16,000 web servers over a couple of days. And what they were doing was that they were installing a botnet agent called DDSSH, and it exists pretty much solely for distributed SSH brute forcing. So here you have several thousand web servers that are now brute forcing SSH servers on other servers and trying to build up the botnet that way. And as of middle of August, it had basically almost been shut down. So if you're running AV scanners and things like that on your web servers, you'd be able to detect this, but not many people run web scanners on their, don't run malware scanners on their web servers. So the tools themselves, so remote file inclusion scanners. So here these tools are popular and widely available. So this particular example here, the Kinga scanner, is actually just running through and looking for remote file includes. It's remotely executed and will run as the www user, and is used to install PHP IRC bots, web shells, database dumpers, all these types of things. Okay, these types of tools are very fast and very efficient. Now, an interesting one is, so we have the local file inclusion scanners, but we also have a whole breadth range of remote file inclusion scanners. So what happens with RFI type attacks? So effectively you take your text file, which is going to have all of your main code in it. You'll upload it to a free website somewhere along the lines. just somewhere to host your content on there. You'll run an RFI scanner against a particular target, look for the URIs that are going to be potentially vulnerable. It will automatically insert your free link. So for example here, this tail end of this URL, freeuploadsite.com, phpshell.txt, and will inject into all those pages that it thought was vulnerable. And eventually what will happen is that because of no input sanitization on these vulnerable RFI URLs, you will actually end up with a full interactive command shell running on the machine. And what do those files look like that you've hosted on the free web service provider? So here is one of the text files, which of course is a PHP page, which has all the functions. Many of them you'll also find will be in obfuscated versions, so they'll have tools that will automatically obfuscate it, but also QA to make sure that it's not detected by web app firewalls and other types of deep packet inspection engines. And the tools themselves, once they start running, so this is actually running on the server as a remote file inclusion. Here we see it's up to exploit attempt 1216 on this particular web server. And it'll keep on going until it finds the right vulnerabilities. At which stage, once it's done that, it will automatically install the shell. Okay, and so the process would be to use the RFI scanners, get the file inclusion, and then install and run an auto router on the box, or extract the passwords, and then to install your command shell. So the most popular ones, so there are literally hundreds of these, but the three most popular ones that you'll come into contact with, and there are iterations of these, is the R56, C99, and the Lotus 7 shell. They enable full interactive control of the websites. Many of them have their own databases and all the tools needed for managing and extracting data from databases that are on the web servers. So C99 shell is developed by a Russian company. It's available for free. It's well maintained, and so here we see snapshot of the website, how to get support for these scripts, this interactive command shell. And from, I grabbed an older version, the 1.0 of the C99 shell. It's all well documented, and then starts running through. So in this bottom right-hand side here, we actually see all of the instructions for displaying the types of data that you can see on the command shell. And to see what these things look like, here is a competitor shell. So this is actually web shell or multi-shell. It also goes under the name as C100, obviously one better than the C99 shell. And what you see here is full management console. Okay, so here we can see all of the pages and the content on that web server. We can do anything to that site, allows me full database enumeration. I control every other process that's actually running on the machine. So this all exists as a simple page that I can upload. Okay, and of course, plunder.com and all these sorts of sites will allow you to just download the actual pages, so you don't even need to host it on the web server or host it on your own machines as you're uploading. Okay. Another one, so Lotus 7 shell does the same sort of things. This one also includes a full database enumerator. It actually has its own database. It will actually install and set up a database on the server, so it can catalog, and as you install other botnet agents and management consoles, this is your master management console for everything that's happening on that server or on that server farm. So I wanted to quickly run through some of the things that we sort of see. So here I've talked about why someone would actually target web servers. These are the types of tools that allow them to gain access and remote control of the web server. Now the key thing is that that's all very well and good, and I think most people here would be familiar with that that's bad. But for botnets, one of the key things that you're doing is you want to host your command and control servers on these compromised machines. And so, the reason for that is that, all these victim machines, all the bot machines, your PC, your laptop, those tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or whatever of victim machines, need to report back into your master command and control server. So they can receive new configuration files, malware updates, you want to back up your command and control, and also cache commands that you're going to send down to all of the victim machines as they start up and boot up. And so one of the things that I've been looking at, and what my researchers look at, is being able to obviously identify compromised sites, but also to look at the structure of their command and control infrastructure, and to be able to work out who the actual physical operators are and what motivates them, where they're located, and be able to provide a level of attribution to who the actual bad guys are. And to give you some sort of examples of things that you sort of see. So here is Zeus command and control. So there, as you see, these are actually all live sites, I believe, still waiting for to be taken down. But as you can see, many of them are .ru, so they'll probably never be taken down. And this particular operator the default configuration file for Zeus is a .bin. And so you see the same sort of structure appearing in multiple domains. So we see this quite often, and we can associate this type of structure with a particular group of operators in Russia. Meanwhile, you see other types of structures. So for example, this is a different group, and the way that they make their files available, and also the way that they're using the server. So for example, this third server here, nascator.com on port 81. Is hosting the command and control, but it's also hosting the drop site for all the latest content that's being uploaded and stolen from the victim machines, as well as it's distributing the latest malware agent. Breeder Labs, another big botnet. We see from here at least 2 different operators based on how they structure their command and control. Neosploits, kits and memroots, so have a defined structure for their command and control. So here we see many of these operators prefer this GNH4 as a way of them tracking the sites, because what you'll actually find is that because those LFI and RFI scanners are so popular, they find the same sites automatically. Many of these sites will get hammered and compromised multiple times at the same time by different operators, and so the bad guys will have multiple ownership on the machine, and so they want to tell their bots from someone else's bots in command and control. And sometimes they'll get into wars of actually cleaning up the host and patching the vulnerabilities so that the other operators can't get control of their botnets. So, Neosploit, so here we see Neosploit attack but actually being used for the Zeus uploader. So the mix of different tools and malware is constant. The Gozi botnet is interesting because the URLs are tied into a unique ID, so they can track the spam that led up to this and be able to track who the victims actually are. So if I was to take one of these URLs and try to run it from a different machine, I would not get a response. Okay, so this is where you see the command and control being locked into the victim machine, and so that can't be used and transposed anywhere else. This is designed to bypass web filtering technologies and any other content filters. Kubeface, one of the bigger botnets that's out there. Here we see the sort of structure, the way they obfuscate what's going on here, and these are just all their dropper sites, or some of the dropper sites. Official, I'll run through some of these. So Official is actually quite interesting. So it's another one that ties in the actual malware to a victim machine and to the command and control. So you can't take the malware, run on a different machine and connect to the command and control server. You can't take the URLs or traffic that you've intercepted at one machine and play it on a different machine and expect the same interaction with the command and control. The management console that it has, so this is one from the weekend, a new official botnet from the weekend. It's targeted largely at Brazil, where most of the victims are. And as you see, it's only been operating for a few days, and you see here the amount of new bots and new victim machines that have been compromised, how often these machines are actually connecting, and how many of these machines are actually currently available for tasking right now in real time. Okay, and of course everything has a nice GUI. It allows you to sign and allocate by country and by operating system and things like that, so that you can subdivide and sell on parts of your network. So if I'm focused on attacks in the US, I don't want Russian IP addresses or Russian machines, but I know a Russian counterpart who will buy the Russian ones off me, and he'll sell me the US ones, for example. So one gang that you'll be seeing a lot more in the press is the TDL3 gang, mainly named after the malware that they use and distribute. Their command and control infrastructure is a little bit different, so they prefer very long, random URLs, and they have a unique type of structure. But really, the thing that sort of is interesting is that, so as of Monday, when it's putting it together, the number of command and control servers that they actually have. So these are IP address servers, so unique servers. They may have multiple command and control channels on there, multiple sites and all that. But you see, we're not dealing with one botnet, one command and control, or a few command and controls. There's a lot. Okay, this is big business, and this is just one of their botnets. Okay, so one botnet may have multiple command and controls, and the botnet operator may have multiple botnets.